I'm not. I follow Qur'an and Sunnah. As if the Hanafi scholars were 33-degree Masons. York Rite Masons. Of course they follow the Qur'an and Hadith. But he saved the skin of his neck by lying under court. And it's the same behavior that you see now in English. You ask someone a question. Do you follow this organization of Salaffiyah? Well, I follow the Salaf as-Salih because they've learned that they have to be diplomatic in order to get next to people. No. Do you follow an organization called a Dawat al-Salafiyyah, founded 227 years ago with its reviver by the name of Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, students stretching to, you have to go into all this. Do you follow this? You want a straight answer. People playing word games with you. Well, did you follow, are you Salafi? Well, really, all of us are Salafi. No, we're not. Because not all of us are called Murtadeen, killed, dumped in unmarked graves with our heads missing, the ground's burnt and salted over, and rotivated. Not all of us does that happen to. Are you or are you not upon that dawah? Well, akhi, this isn't really a time. It could cause fitna. We don't want to argue about causing fitna. You called me a mushrik behind my back, and then I'm asking you a straight question in your face, and you won't answer it? Are you or are you not the saved sect, those that have been destined for the paradise? Are you or aren't you them, the victorious party? If you are, reveal yourself so I can take shahada and enter it. But this is the situation that you're facing. Sadiq Hassan Khan and others learned to not reveal their true colors until people were close enough to them to where they could inject the pathogens into their system. And they would slowly, theologically poison you until they took control over your frontal lobe. And then there was nothing left. Now, upon his return to Bhopal in the year 1286 AH, he completed his Hajj, had numerous books to strengthen his doctrine. He was now able to reinforce his belonging to the Ahl Hadith group that his father and grandfather had been in when this subset split from the Tariqah Muhammadiyah. Siddiq Hassan had numerous problems, but his biggest situation was the battle with the Hanafi populace and even the Ikhwan-influenced Abdul Hayy Lakhnawi. Al-Qanuji had claimed that Imam Abu Hanifa only knew 17 hadith, was not a jurist or memorizer of hadith. Please remember that immediately after this, Al-Qanuji claimed to be the Mujaddid of the age, and that he was the same as a Shawkani and none could rival him. I don't see that as a compliment if someone says, I'm the Mujaddid of the age and I'm the same as a Shawkani. It's the same as someone saying, I'm the Mujaddid of the age, I'm at the same level as Musaylimah. I'm at the same level as Tulayha al-Asadi. I'm at the same level as al-Aswad al-Ansi. That's not a compliment. But he didn't know that. Yes, I'm the same as a former Zaydi Mu'tazili in his theology turned into Ikhwani, takfir on the whole ummah. I'm at the same level as him. And I'm a Mujaddid of this age. First of all, Mujaddid people don't say that they're the Mujaddid because they're selected from amongst the great ulama among them. And number two, there are signs and pieces of scholarship that you can tell who a person is and what they belong to. He made his own translation of the Qur'an with heavy commentary notes. Notice the system. A cult comes out, breaks off, makes his own translation. Noble Qur'an, authentic translation. The only authentic translation, including several thousand notes. It spreads all over the place. Right? The Dawoodi Bohra Shia wanted their own translation of the Qur'an. So what did they do? They hired Abdullah Yusuf Ali, who was the Dawoodi Bohra Shia. And he translated the Qur'an. And then he sent a copy over to Bin Baz, who stamped it. How a blind man would be able to approve of it is unknown, but it got stamped, and I say this with seriousness, it got stamped and it's gone all over the place. The Abdullah Yusuf Ali Qur'an, it's all over the place. The translation's everywhere. It's written by a Dawoodi Bohra Shia, who Salafis himself make takfir on them, but somehow it slipped through the system. Someone left the door open. How did this happen? Because that theology was able to get in by Bin Baz saying, I accept this. Some of the footnotes out and out say that human beings' origins is from water. That human beings, their origin is in fitting with evolution. There's quotes from Charles Darwin in there. How on earth did it make it through the system? It just did. It just did. And all of these cults have their own translation. 1200 Shia, Tarikh Tarsal, translation of the Qur'an. Salaffiyah, Noble Qur'an. And they always hide behind these exalted titles. Abdul Yusuf Ali, the Holy Qur'an, written in Elizabethan English, which wasn't used in the time of Elizabeth. But you're supposed to read thou, though, thither. No wonder people don't want to read the Qur'an. I can't get heads or tails out of this. It's supposed to be the speech of Allah. No wonder people walk away from it. But it was trying to rival the Bible, which was written in King James English, or Elizabethan type English. All of them have their own translations. All of them. Submitters, Chakralvi, Parvezi, they all have their own translations. Now, the youngest son of Siddiq Hassan Khan Qanuji was Ali Hassan al-Qanuji. He was the honorary director of education of Bhopal State and also the honorary organizer of Dar al-Nadwa or Nadwatul Ulama in Lucknow. He dedicated all of his father's books to them and they accepted them. This is now where we come to another part. In this time, the theology of Muslims in undivided India began to erode. Because the al-Muwahidun theology was penetrating into India. Another group of people that come into the equation that went and studied with some of them. You have Rashid Gangohi, Qasim al-Nutwi, Muhammad Qasim al-Nutwi, Rashid Ahmed al-Gangohi and Muhammad Qasim al-Nutwi. They had some of the theology of al-Muwahidun. They quoted from the same books, used the same arguments, used the same theological compass. They had, of all the masail within al-Muwahidun, if you were to boil down the masail like Sheikh Sulaiman ibn Abdul Wahhab, which are 17 issues, they had 6 of the 17 issues. 6. To do with visiting the graves, to do with what is intercession, the state of the dead, and the place and understanding of the state of the ummah. Is there any reason and any wonder in your heart why sometimes you will see pictures in the past of Bin Baz and Uthaymeen, and then you will see Muhammad Taqi Uthmani or other high-ranking Deobandi figures next to them? Because in this issue, their theology is the same. Their theology is the same about how they feel about the ummah. Their theology is the same about intercession. That creed is the same. Deoband suffered a split into 2 factions. If you look at the theology of Imdadullah Muhajir Makki and the theology from before al-Muwahidun, the theology is the same. It's exactly the same. But there began to be this break when you saw the difference between Imdadullah Muhajir Makki and Rashid Gangohi and Muhammad Qasim al-Nutwi in these masail. Now, let's look at something. A man by the name of Imam Ali Naqi Khan and his family come into India from Afghanistan. Most of the Indian court Hanafis had either died or they'd been transferred to other sections of the empire to deal with an encroaching British presence. And Hanafi scholars from Afghanistan were seen as the best in that time, in that area in Central Asia. So Ali Naqi Khan goes with him and his family and his son, Imam, who later became an Imam. His name is Ahmad Rida Khan al-Qandahari. Pathans. In 1295 Imam Ahmed Rida Khan al-Qandahari made Hajj with his father Imam Ali Naqi Khan and he studied in Mecca and Medina. Those who gave him chains of transmission include Imams Ahmed Zaini Dahlan, who was considered one of the mujaddids of his time, the great Shafi'i alim, Abdul Rahman Siraj, the great Hanafi judge, Hussein ibn Salih, the Imam of Maqam Ibrahim near the Kaaba, Abdullah Sufan al-Qaddumi, who actually in his book at Dawlat al-Makkiyah gives him a senate of narration and also calls him a mujaddid of his age. This is one of my mujaddids of my school, says that he is a mujaddid of his age. What can I do? There's nothing I can do. He must be. Because two of my scholars say he is. He studied with also Imam Muhammad ibn Humayn al-Najdi, one of the great ulama of the Hanbali school. This is Imam Ahmad Rida Khan, the writer of some 1,000 books. He, from all of his studying and all of his work, he comes back and finds the theology of undivided India from when he left worse. Worse. Uttar Pradesh in Bareilly, it's worse. Deobandi, it's worse. His areas, it's worse. So he begins to write books to deal with it. And he's dealing with two strands. One are some of the Deoband who are influenced, because by this time, the school in Deoband had been established in 1284 AH, which is 1867. He's dealing with the rectors of that school who have 6 or 7 of the 17 Masail. And then he's dealing with a branch of the Deoband who are out and out Salafis and found Darun Nadwa in the city of Lucknow. As I mentioned, I said you should circle it. Now you know, because Darun Nadwa or Nadwatul Ulama. This is why you have people with this last name, Nadwi, Abul Hasan and Nadwi, Ikram Nadwi. Why? That's not the name of a nation. It's a city. It's a school. So the Nadwi or Nadwatul Ulama, as they were called, call their name or call their city, which is serendipitous enough because Darun Nadwa was the name of the parliament of the Kuffar in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So Imam Ahmad Rida Khan begins delivering as a mujtahid, as a scholar. He makes takfir al-mu'ayyan. Now before we go any further, inshallah I've got time. When talking about takfir, there are conditions that must be established before takfir is made. Firstly is the person understands that they are a mujtahid, they've been trained and taught, because whatever comes out of that ruling will mean the person's either executed or spared. They understand the state of the person and they understand the rules regarding takfir. Then you have the impediments of takfir. This is a time when you cannot make takfir. When someone is interpreting, when they're sleeping, when they're a child, when they're insane, and so forth. And takfir is sometimes used by ulama as iqamatul zajr, to push people away from something. And so Imam Ahmad Rida Khan was using the takfir as a zajr, to push people away from theological positions that would end in the destruction of their akhirah. That's why he did what he did. This book at Dawlat al-Makkiyah, there are easily 100 ulama from all four schools. All four schools that attested to what the correct creed is. When I first read these books in Arabic, when I was given them, I thought this man was an Arab. His style of writing, his diction, his knowledge, I thought this man, he must be an Arab. He wrote another text, where he did a commentary, Al-Mustanid al-Mu'tamid, which is also by him, which deals with these issues in theology as well. But particularly, the most important was his Fatawa al-Haramain, which was a textbook against Darun Nadwa,